How do we add fractions with unlike denominators? Let's get into it.
Mad Majesty!
All right, my friends. So, what does it mean to be adding fractions with unlike denominators? So, what does the word unlike mean? Well, it just means different. Yeah? Things are not alike, they're unlike, right? And denominators. Well, you should already know that the denominator is the bottom number, or it tells you how many parts per whole. That's important. We can't really add or subtract fractions if the parts are different. If we are going to add or subtract fractions, then those parts have to be the same so we can get the total or the sum or the difference accurately. All right, so let's get into it. Well, the first thing we're always going to check is if the denominators don't match. And if they don't, step one. Okay, so step one, convert to have both denominators the same. That's going to be super important, okay? Anytime we're adding, subtracting fractions, the denominator is always going to be the same, even in your answer. And we're going to have to make the denominators the same in our problem before we can even get that answer. So, convert. Well, all that really means is we're going to change any denominators to make sure that they are the same. Easy peasy. Step one, change the denominators, make sure they're the same. Now, step two, all we're going to do is ever add the numerators. Remember, the numerator is the top number or the shaded parts or the parts that you're working with. The denominator is just how big the parts are and how many parts are per whole, right? So the numerator is the shaded ones, the ones we're actually adding together. So you're only ever going to add the numerators. The denominator stays the same. Alrighty, easy peasy. Step 3, keep denominators the same. Ooh, that E was ugly. Huh? Okay, always remember, even in your answer and in your problem, our goal is to keep those denominators the same and add the numerators. Righty. Then our last step is to convert to a mixed number or simplify. All that really means is if we get an improper fraction, then we're going to have to put that into a mixed number. Or if we get really big numbers in our fractions, we're just going to simplify them or make them more simple with smaller numbers. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So let's look right into this. Whoop. Our first thing we're going to look at is this is the problem they're giving us. They're telling us 2/3 plus 1/2. Already, what can you tell? Well, our denominators don't match. We have thirds and halves. If I want to accurately add them, then those pieces are going to have to be the same. Okay, so now that we see that our denominators are different, we're going to want to make them the same. We want them to have a common denominator. Same. Anytime you see this acronym, LCD, you should already know what that means. LCD. That is our lowest common denominator. All that means is when we're picking possible denominators to make them match, we want to pick the lowest ones. So, what does that mean, really? All we're going to do is to find our lowest common denominator, we're just going to look at the multiples of 3 and of 2. So let's look at 2 first. All you have to really do is count by 2s. So 2, 4, 6, 8. Usually you can put about 4 and check if they match. And if you don't find any matching, you just keep on going. Now, our other number is 3. Now, if you're confused on where we got 2 and 3, Remember, those are our different denominators, and we want them to match. Okie dokie. So now we're going to count by threes. 3, 6, 9, 12. Now, we're going to look for the ones that match. Already, you should see that there is a 6 here and a 6 here. All that means is we found a common denominator that they can both be. So our new denominator, or our lowest common number there, is 6. So what we're going to do is take both those fractions and try to make them have denominators of 6. So let's start the next step. Now, our first fraction, if you remember, was 2/3. What we're going to do is try to make that into sixths, right? We're going to take our other fraction, 1/2, and make it have the same denominator of 6. How did we get from 3 to 6? Well, we multiply by 2 times 2. Whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. Now, there's a reason for that, okay? Remember that we're not just changing denominators all willy-nilly. If you look, we're actually multiplying by 2/2. 2/2 is 1 whole. Anything times 1 is itself. So even though we're getting fractions that look different, they're going to have the same value. Okay, so let's get back into it. Boop, 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 boop. Now, our new denominator, 3 times 2, well, that gives us 6. All right. Now, our new numerator, 2 times 2, well, that gives us 4. So instead of 2/3, now we have 4/6. Now we're going to go to our next one, 2. How do we get from 2 to 6? Well, times 3. Whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. So our new denominator, 2 times 3, well, that's 6. So we're good. Now our new numerator is 1 times 3, or 3. Now we have converted or changed our fractions into equivalent fractions. That means they look different, but they're essentially equal or the same value, right? Now we can add them. Since we converted them both, and they both have the same denominator, now we can continue with addition. So, the last step is now we're just rewriting it. When we started, we had 2/3 plus 1/2. Right? And we changed 2/3 to 4/6 and 1/2 to 3/6. Now that our denominators match, remember the beginning. You always keep the denominators the same. Come over here and you keep your denominator the same. Now we're just going to add numerators. 4 plus 3 is 7. So now we have 7/6. Yes, that is our answer. Now some of you might be like, that don't look right. Are you sure about that? Well, yes, but remember our final step from beginning. We might need to change it into a mixed number or simplify. So now that we have 7/6, that's improper. So we're going to have to change that into a mixed number. Because what this really is saying is that there's 6 parts per whole, but we have 7 parts. So we have more than a whole. So we're going to have to change that. Whoop! Now we're going to change it into a mixed number. Now remember what I told you about fractions. That fraction line, 7/6. Remember, you have a value, a line, and a value. What does that look like? A division symbol. That is where the division symbol derives from. So that line in a fraction, it actually means to divide. So that line in a fraction literally means to divide. So what would be our dividend? Well, that would be the number of actual shaded parts. Our total, our dividend has to be something we actually have. That's the numerator. Those are the shaded parts. So what it's saying is 7 divided by 6. 7 divided by 6. We could do this really simple. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to take out a group of 6 and see how many times I can do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's one group, and we have a remainder. Remainder 1. 1, remainder 1. But I thought we were making a mixed number. We are. Always remember, a remainder came from us doing what? Dividing. Right? So we're going to change this up just a little bit. I'm going to change 1 remainder 1 into a mixed number. Remember, how many whole groups did we get? We got one whole group of 6 we were able to take out. What do you do with denominators? You keep them the same. 6. We're dividing by 6. And when we did that, we had 1 left over. 1 shaded part left over. 1 whole and 1 part. 1 whole and 1 part out of 6. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Thank you so much for your time, my friends. I hope this helps. I'll see you manana. Bye-bye. Hey, friendos, thanks for watching. Remember, we can only have a brighter future with the brighter you. Bye.